Tonight's election really will come down to those battleground states, and most projections show that Donald Trump really needs to win most of them to take the White House.
San Diego State professor and political analyst Wendy Patrick joining us now to talk about some of those key states. So we've heard analysts say that Hillary Clinton really has multiple scenarios in which she could win, but Donald Trump not as many. So what are the must-win states for him?
We've heard a lot about Florida, you know, and both candidates have spent so much time there. I'll tell you, these two candidates are almost 70 years old, and they have been out almost all night, every night. They're living like rock stars, having rock concerts in terms of Hillary Clinton's surrogates. But Florida, okay, so that's one of the big ones. They also look at Ohio, New Hampshire. There's been much made also of Pennsylvania. And remember, that's a state where you can't vote early. And that's important because some of those states have a lot of electoral votes, but you also look at some of the states where people have already gone to the polls. In other words, partisan passion has fueled a lot of voters that are just voting down party line and really aren't as concerned with what each candidate is saying the eve before election. But the numbers you just showed, I'll tell you what, you know, Donald Trump, I've said this before, his real challenge is not momentum, it's math. Can he pull out 270?
Right.
So, you know, if we step away from the presidential election, we're talking about Prop 64. There's a ton of other measures that these San Diegan voters are going to look at here. Prop 64, we're watching that. California, not the only state to vote for legalizing pot. How do you think that all shapes up?
Because it's also on the ballot in Massachusetts, Maine, Arizona, Nevada. So if you go across the country, if those do well, does that mean we're going to see a wave of states legalizing it federally?
Well, because it's already legal in a couple of states, it's no doubt that's why it's on the ballot in others. But you're right, there's going to have to be something done about the federal law. And we can't just say, oh, we're not going to enforce it. It's on the books, it's illegal. And keep this in mind, Jason and Virginia, employers do not have to hire people that recreationally smoke. In other words, employers, especially depending on what kind of job they're hiring somebody to do, they still have the prerogative of drug tests, and this is across the nation, of enforcing some of their safety standards without regard for whether or not something is actually legal. They've been doing the same thing with respect to prescription drugs and alcohol.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. Wendy Patrick, thank you very much. It is election day. The day is finally here.
We will be talking to you a lot in the next 24 hours.